I can summarize marketing as making the environment as sticky as possible with your name. That's how I look at it. No matter where a patient goes, your name should pop up. Okay, so they searching on Google, that your name should needs to pop up. If they go on Instagram, your name needs to pop up. If you go on YouTube, your name needs to pop up, right? So it's like honey. You want to make it sticky.
Okay, we're back here at the Aesthetic Meet 2025 in Austin, Texas, and I have the honor of sitting down with Dr. Athré from Houston, Texas. Dr. Athré, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. And since we're in Austin, I got to give them the hook 'em horns.
Yeah, hook 'em horns. I love it. So we're going to do kind of a condensed version of our normal podcast here, but kind of want to start off by just kind of telling us a little bit about your practice, how long you've been in practice, what you focus on, what you're specializing in today.
Cool. So my practice is based in Houston, Texas. I'm a facial plastic surgeon. I've been in practice close to 20 years. When I first started, my primary interest was rhinoplasty. That was a large percentage of my practice, and it has metamorphosized into a facial aging practice where probably 80% of my practice is facial rejuvenation.
That's awesome. And do you feel like there's a focus age-wise for you, or is it all across the spectrum age-wise?
I think it's a little bit of all across the spectrum. I'd say if I have to narrow it down to a single box, it'll probably be from about 45 to 60 is my biggest demographic. But when I say facial aging, there's still patients that are probably in their late 30s or early 40s, and their anatomy may be that they look older or have problems that you would attest to someone who's older. So it runs the gamut. I don't really focus a lot of my practice on the young, like the 25, 27 with the fillers and all. I don't do that. So mine's a surgical practice, 100% surgical.
100% surgical, okay. And you don't even have other providers doing
You're
those?
looking at them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay. And yeah, because you mentioned rejuvenation, which made me think that you're talking, you're not getting that prejuvenation crowd, or you're not
Correct.
inviting that in, I guess.
Right. So I basically, if I have to hone in on who comes to me, it's patients that probably have started that process of where they are looking older than they actually are, or they go, hey, on the inside I feel super young, but the outside doesn't match. And that normally happens right around that 45-ish category, 50 category. That's my main thing. And I do all like facelifts, brow lift, eyelid. That's my mainstay of my practice.
Well, it's certainly been a good area of specialty these last few years.
Correct.
How do you feel that's trending these days in terms of, we definitely saw, what do you want to call it, Zoom boom, or whatever you gave it, we saw a huge uptrend. Where does that sit for you now?
So I think that initially during the COVID time period, there was a huge upswing in patients coming in. And I think the Zoom and the Zoom meetings and all that really did have a big chunk of that, the push. Now, as we've come to the post-COVID area, I think if you take a look at all plastic surgeons running the whole field, everybody during that immediate COVID, post-COVID area was doing fantastic. There was a lot of expendable income in the entire economy. Post-COVID, we're a couple of years after that, where the economy started slowing down a little bit. People are a little bit tighter with their purchases. So are we kind of rocking and rolling like immediate post-COVID? No, but we've stayed pretty stable. And I think part of that is the demographic that we're looking at is really, they're more long-term kind of people. So they're not affected as much with the up and down of a market swing.
Do you feel like there's just what I observe is it just seems like there's uncertainty economically. We
Absolutely.
haven't yet seen
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So for example, if I just look straight up January, okay? So immediate post-election, there's all of this kind of excitement in the air, blah, 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 blew up. Okay, first kind of 40 days where there's just, and I'm not making any political statements. It's just, when there was a little bit of flux in the economy, the stock market's going up and down and up and down, people are holding on a little bit. They're not just going, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go book that procedure and put my down payment down.
Yeah, and I would say there's, obviously a very different approach being taken, like with macroeconomics right now, but it still has the same potential looming fear of of other austerity measures that have been maybe used in the past.
Right.
So tariff, maybe we're not talking about interest rates, but it still makes you wonder, what's the blowback going to be, and should I hold on to my dollars right now?
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
I think everything is so intertwined, right? I mean, it's just like the World Wide Web. I mean, this is what you guys do. Everything is just kind of linked with everything else. So in some way, these things do kind of affect, like I'm a solo individual practitioner. It still flows downstream and affects what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's interesting when you talk about that age range where there's a little bit maybe more resilience there or long-term view.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Well, speaking of what we do, this podcast, we try to focus around marketing. So I always, that's what I feel qualified to interview on. Whereas I don't want to pretend to know your craft to the level you do. But marketing, I know. And what I want to do is put this content out for our clients where we talk about what we're seeing trend-wise in terms of how we market to patients. And I'm curious for you, sort of what are the top channels of patient acquisition that you focus on? Obviously, I know we work together, and so that we have something to do with that
Transparency
strategy.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have some strategy
Yeah.
that we might be influencing, but I'm curious what channels work best for you in terms of acquiring patients?
Number one, my homepage, my website, the actual, that's kind of the, what I call ground central, right? Actually, I'm going to say something that's a little different than maybe a lot of the people that you interview. Number two for me is YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Okay. YouTube is number two, and it's a strong number two. And number three, which is a distant number three, is going to be social media stuff.
We have a few, because YouTube is not something that we specifically focus on. We've had clients ask, can we help optimize YouTube? What I find is we live in a world of being where you really need to have a niche specialty and focus. And so we focus on what we do really, really well. But we have a few clients who've taken it upon themselves to and you're one of them, to really put effort into YouTube, and they've seen it pay off.
Yes.
It's the right it is really the right platform for a lot of for some of our clients. I've noticed where there's an opportunity. Well, I'll let you tell me, but an opportunity to educate a little bit more in depth than other social platforms.
Right. So I think this also, you have to kind of work backwards a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to kind of put this, I was telling a couple of your colleagues. So the name of the game. So as a person, I like to stick my fingers in a lot of different things, and I like to at least learn about it. So first of all, when we look at marketing, okay, there's no marketing company in the world where I, as a provider, can come to you and say, hey, just make it happen. I just want to see patients. That doesn't exist, okay? I think, especially the team that works with me, they're very good about going, hey, listen, here's some tools, and I give them some insights, they give me some insights, and then there's a collaborative decision. So number one, I think I can summarize marketing as making the environment as sticky as possible with your name. That's how I look at it.
That's cool.
Okay, so no matter where a patient goes, okay, your name should pop up. Okay, so they're searching on Google, your name needs to pop up. If they go on Instagram, your name needs to pop up. If you go on YouTube, your name needs to pop up, right? So it's like honey. You want to make it sticky, okay? And because you can't control patients coming in. You can control this part, and if you make it super sticky, patients will come in. So you control the things that you can do. So when you're looking at doing that, you got to start backwards and go, what is it that I like to do? Okay, so I like to do facelifts. Facelifts are not an impulse-driven purchase. Okay, so patients don't wake up in the morning and go, dude, I think I'm going to get a freaking facelift today. That's not how they do it. Now, they might do that for filler. They might do that for Botox. They might even do that for breast augmentation. Okay, that's a very impulse-driven. Facelift is a research-driven protocol.
Considered purchase.
Yeah. So now if that's who you want, then you got to go to where would I research? Okay. So you're going to go to Google. Okay. So you need to make yourself super sticky on Google. And I think YouTube and the video platform is becoming a great way to make yourself sticky because you're able to be yourself. You can tell people the way you think, how you process information, and they get a really good idea of who you are before they even meet you. So one of the things that I've seen is, like, for example, I'll give you a very stupid anecdote. So when I'm operating, I wear cowboy boots. Okay, I'm here in Texas. I wear cowboy boots. Okay, and I think even a couple of patients that I've recorded as I'm operating made a comment about the cowboy boots. Recently, we've gotten to the point where I show up for surgery, and if I just ran 6 miles the prior day, I may not wear my boots. Patient, where are your boots? They have gotten so involved in the YouTube channel, it's like they cyber stalk me. And patients will literally say, I've seen all your videos. I think I know you before I've even come in. I'm ready to do surgery. So you have these opportunities to really educate and kind of do a consultation almost remotely, for lack of better
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
So you get to dictate that and really talk to them.
That's so cool. The cowboy boots, that's definitely a brand right there. You're
That's
building a
right.
brand.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'd be curious one time, we could dive into it one day and I'm curious if you have a feel for this when you look at the analytics on the YouTube side of how much of your YouTube is driving top of funnel, new searches, person that's not familiar with you that is discovering you through YouTube. I'm sure there's that, and I'm sure there's a lot of discovering you somewhere else and then coming to make, because you talked about that considered purchase.
Right.
So spending a long time there, perhaps, getting to know you and really feeling like, okay, I'm ready to make the decision to go with this surgeon.
Right. So, as when we got hooked up with you guys did a great job of putting us through Go High Level, right?
Mhm.
So we're on the Go High Level platform, and it's tracking all this information. However, since this web is think about it like a little bumblebee going all over the place. It's really hard, especially now when most people block cookies and this and that, to really know exactly where a patient is coming from. So one thing that we've done in the office, despite all the data that's been collecting on the back end, is we ask patients straight up. So when I'm in a consultation, where'd you hear about me? And I don't even ask where you heard about me. A lot of our patients are direct referrals. So I said, who can I thank for sending you to me?
Oh, I like that.
Okay. So then they'll go, oh, no. I came in, the internet. So I was like, oh, is there a specific place? Just very nonchalant. Oh, I saw all your videos on YouTube. So I write YouTube. Okay. And we keep like a little tally. So because the way I look at it is, like when I do a consult, if you came in for a consult for something, I say, so you have a magic wand, what would you do? Okay, and you're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Odds are the first thing out of your mouth is the thing that bothers you the most,
Mhm.
right? So similarly, if I ask a patient, hey, where'd you hear about me? The first thing out of their mouth is the place that they spent the most, that promoted them to actually make the appointment. So if they say YouTube, you go ding, ding. Okay, YouTube gets a point. And this is becoming more and more and more and more.
That's cool. We think about attribution in marketing a lot. So which channel do we attribute the lead to, or the conversion to, or the patient? And it's sort of like a interesting model, because there's last touch model, which means they might have hit a bunch of different places, but that's the last place they were. And that's a really smart way to shortcut to just what is the best, the channel that deserves the most weight
Right.
in that computation
Right.
for, that's
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. So in my prior life, I was an engineer. So I try to get all sorts of crazy metrics because, and we tried all sorts of formulas and, a spreadsheet and then like a table, and it's too much. Okay. So it's just so much easier. Where'd you hear about me? And then so whatever they say, give that channel 1 point.
I like the logic, because as a marketer, I always go, well, that might not have been where they first heard about you, but you're bringing up a really good point of, look, they're going to say the thing that weighs most in their mind, that's
Right.
most weighted as to, and clearly that's the thing that drove the decision.
Right.
Clearly. So that's a nice way to think about it. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And as we're doing this, I'm learning new words that I can use to make this sound more scientific, like attribution, which
Sure,
I don't
right.
think about it that
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
but yeah, it makes sense.
There's so many different attribution models, and the different platforms that we use change them. Or you can say, I want to track it this way versus that way, and different agencies might have different focuses. So there is a lot of room for art here, and there's a lot of science as well.
Yep.
So I see you have a company name
Mhm.
also
Yeah.
on your, it says first time exhibitor on your
Yeah.
badge. So you're also here
I
kind of
am-
on two.
Correct. So I'm also the chief technology officer for Elixir MD. They are a company, or we are a company that specializes in devices for post-operative recovery and healing. Their creme de la creme machine is something called Elixir MD that uses photobiomodulation to speed up healing after surgery.
Awesome. And so what booth, that's, you guys have a booth here
Yeah.
that people can go by.
Yeah. Yep.
I was going to ask for the booth number, but likely people will hear this after the show.
I
So.
think it's like 1293.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, check out Elixir MD.
Yeah.
A couple more questions for you, and we'll let you
Sure.
kind of move on with your day here. I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm curious from your perspective, and I want to hear this from all the doctors that I sit with. What are sort of the major trends you see emerging in 2025 or over the last 12 months, whether good or bad?
So I'm going to speak from, and I know you're probably getting different people's opinions. This is from my personal opinion, and I live kind of in a cave, right? So my universe is the people that I see, my patients. I think that there is more of a walk away from some of the non-surgical stuff. Patients are starting to kind of go, I've tried Morpheus, it didn't work. I've tried, threads, they didn't work. And the word is getting out there that some of these non-invasive things are just not designed for long-term rejuvenation, and they're moving towards, hey, what is it that I need to do that's going to work long-term? And I know it might be an investment, but if I'm going to invest in myself, I need to do something that works in the long term. That mindset is definitely a change from previous, where I think prior we were really fighting against this non-invasive crowd. They had huge marketing dollars. They were really putting a lot of information out there. And I think the trend is kind of moving towards more surgical procedures.
So it sounds like consumers are starting to become realistic about the expectation
Correct.
of non-surgical, and maybe still has its place, but also they're becoming a little more sophisticated in understanding where they just need to go to surgery.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's true, because I guess it's a natural evolution that we've seen a huge boom in non-surgical first-time patients, first-time consumers dabbling into this, and maybe coming in with either being possibly misled or just their expectations too high, or not enough understanding of it.
Right. I think it's not even just a misled. I think, for example, all of us, we're all human, right? So if we have a need or a want, like let's say you want a car, and you know that your dream car costs this and has this amount of horsepower, and then you come over here and someone's has a bunch of noise that says, I can give you all the speed and it's a fraction of the price. You're magically drawn to it. Okay.
Yeah.
That idea of potentially getting what I want for something less, whether it's less downtime, whether it's less money, whether it's whatever, that you're kind of pulled in that direction. So there's this natural human thing to be able to, can I get what I want for less output? And sometimes, the odds of, are pretty low. Like, it's kind of one of those things, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And I think, with enough time now, this pendulum is kind of switching towards this other side, and patients are going, okay, that's there. Okay. And maybe, if I'm 31 and just got a little bit, that may work. But for where I am, this is not, I've tried it a couple times. It's not working. There's data out there. There's lots of education where you can research it. So they're really becoming information voyeurs and pulling that and going, okay, this is what I really need to do.
I guess it's a good, and again, natural progression to see a more sophisticated consumer and sort of coming back to surgery. Not that they went away, but maybe settling into the realization that that's where they're going to get their expectations met properly.
Right. And I think that, like, for example, like even when we talk with my monthly meetings with my team, the messaging, like, we never go, hey, this is bad. We just go, it's our job to educate, and then the progression or whatever natural evolution occurs.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, final question here for you is, what's one piece of advice you would give kind of just to the industry at large, or perhaps to a surgeon who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Awesome. First of all, if it's to a surgeon that wants to follow doing what I do, I'm going to give you two things. One, there is no marketing company in the world, I don't care how good they are, bad they are, whatever, that you can just walk in and say, yo, dude, here, take care of it, and I just want to go operate. That doesn't exist. So what you really need to do is you don't need to be a master of everything. You do need to know a little about a lot. If it's your business, you need to know what the basics of SEO is. You need to know the basics of, blogging or whatever, all these things, because you've got this team that's trying to promote you, and they can't help you unless you at least have a little bit of at least vocabulary that you can share. So when, Fiona sends me 3 blog articles in a month, and I'm like, God, I need to read another one. But now I know what the focus is. She's pushing this SEO envelope as first priority. She's trying to make that internet sticky, and she's putting this information out there. Okay, so now since I have the understanding of where I'm going, the pain of doing it is not as much. So that's one thing is spend some time. You've spent so much time becoming a good surgeon. Spend a little bit of time in trying to learn about all these different things. It helps you become a much better communicator with people who are trying to help you.
I agree with your sentiment wholeheartedly, and we appreciate it. We always like to try to look for clients where we can be really good partners to them. There is perhaps a way to try to do marketing where the doctor or whoever the business owner is totally hands off, but I would say that the business owner is doing themselves a disservice.
Yep.
I think about it this way. There's DIY in anything, do it yourself, or done with you or done for you. And in marketing, so in marketing, when you start out, you might have to be scrappy and kind of do it DIY, depending on what kind of industry you're in and what kind of resources you have. Then you need to be very realistic next up with if what you're doing is a done for you service or a done with you. And there are some aspects that we do, but we can kind of do for you. But we do want some guidance. And some of those things need a little less check-in, but they all need a little bit of guidance from you. Otherwise, what you get is something that's very watered down. So a marketing company that's trying to, and this actually makes what we do challenging, because I would love to, as an entrepreneur, I'd love to say I can give everyone the same results by rinsing and repeating and not having to think about what everyone wants.
Yeah.
But I won't get good results. I won't retain clients, and it won't work. Right. So what happens when someone is trying to do it completely hands off, or a company's offering something that's kind of cookie cutter, is you end up not having much of your brand on it. It's not very sticky. Right. It's not very sticky. It's not tailored to you.
It doesn't sound like you.
Nah.
Okay. The blog articles that I review, and if I look at it and I go, no, I'd say it this way, and this is it sounds like I'm saying it, and that's what it needs to do.
Right,
it's a reflection of me.
Yeah. So, there are things we can do. We've learned the best practices of this industry over more than a decade well enough that even for someone who's less involved, we can elevate what you've got. But the people who are going to outperform and the people who are doing well, I had someone sit here and say that things have taken a little bit of a step back and it wasn't actually a doctor, it was someone on the device side who said that they've seen sort of a slump in this year. And we have many surgeons who are booked out as ever because they keep their foot on the gas when it comes to marketing. But the ones that are really playing at the next level are very active. The other analogy is the personal trainer. I can't do anything for you as a personal trainer. You got to show up to the gym without you showing up.
I mean, so I'm a huge sports fan. Okay. I love sports. Okay. I think football is a great descriptor of everything life, right? So if you want to perform like Patrick Mahomes doesn't just show up on Sunday and throw a couple of balls. The whole team works with Mahomes. And if Mahomes is having a bad day, I mean, he's just not, his passes are, 2 millimeters off, his team is definitely sitting there going, dude, all right, you're not doing this so hot today. We're going to run the ball. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys, everybody huddle up. We're running today. There's a strategy. The goal is to win. Yeah. But there's so many different little pieces. And if everybody's kind of working like an orchestra, you get to win the game.
Yeah. And then you kind of have to be the coach of all these different pieces, right? And make sure that it's all clicking together. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. And that's a great mentality to have. And we want to work as hard as we can for our clients' success. But when they come to the table, when we do it together, I cannot tell you, those clients they outperform always. The ones who really have and we understand it's tough too. So,
and you know what? It makes it enjoyable. That's what it is, right? So I don't think there's a single surgeon on the planet that goes, dude, I'm going to go home today and I'm going to do some marketing, man. Oh my God. I'm really looking forward to that, right? But hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. And appreciate you sitting down here with me for a few minutes. And here's to CJ Stroud having a good third year.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. And Manning, we're in Austin, home of the Longhorns.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going Manning here. Archie's going to go for it.
Okay, I love it. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Raghu.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.